Listen up, golf fans. We have got you covered for what to watch today. The Golf Channel hit series Big Break is returning for the next 4 Mondays, starting today with Big Break Sandals Resorts all day until 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Originally airing in 2010, Big Break Sandals Resorts featured an all-female cast, including current LPGA professional Ryann O'Toole, going head-to-head in can't-miss skills challenges for their chance to compete at the professional level. I am delighted to welcome in the host of that series of Big Break, Tom Abbott. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning. It brings back some memories seeing action from that series, which was 10 years ago.
I know, and what an anniversary. Well, the entire Big Break Sandals Resort season is airing today on Golf Channel. I'm not the only person who is excited about this, but for someone who's never seen the show, just describe what makes it just so captivating.
Well, it brings together entertainment and competitive golf, and I think that's the important part about Big Break. It's not tournament golf. It is an entertainment show, but of course it needs good golf to survive, and it went for 23 seasons. So we certainly had a great number of very good players on the show, but it brings together those two elements. So there are interviews, there are challenges that players take part in throughout the show, and of course those interviews then give you a perspective of what they're thinking. There are clashes between players in terms of their attitudes and what they're doing and the way they think and what they think of other players. And then there are the players that sort of band together and try and help each other out. So it really is an entertainment show with golf, obviously the main theme. And through a series of challenges and through a series of shows, at the end of the season, one player gets their big break, and everybody on the show was always professional golfers. So those professional golfers that were coming on the show needed a big break and needed that step up in their career. So it was very important for them to try and win.
Tom, this particular season, it was an all-female cast highlighted by Ryann O'Toole, who fans will recognise now from the LPGA and representing USA in the Solheim Cup. A very competitive Ryann O'Toole, may I add. What was your first impression of her back in 2010?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head there, Anna. She was certainly a very competitive player. She'd played collegiate golf at UCLA, maybe hadn't performed as well as she would have liked at UCLA, although she had a very solid career, and then had recently turned professional when we shot the show back in 2010. Ryann was a very strong player. She hit the ball a long way. She was a tough competitor, and she was very fit. She still is today. She's probably one of the fittest players on the LPGA Tour, spends a huge amount of time in the gym, and that was very evident with the way that she hit the ball, the way that she struck the ball, and you certainly saw 10 years ago that she had a huge amount of potential going into the pro ranks.
Looking at what she's achieved since the show, Tom, 2 top 10 finishes in majors, like I said, represented USA in the Solheim Cup, 3 Symetra Tour wins, but hasn't yet broken through on the LPGA. What do you think it's going to take for her to achieve that?
Well, Ryann was a little unlucky. You know, she came out in 2010. We did that show, Big Break Sandals Resorts, which you're going to see today. And she played very well that year on the LPGA Tour. In 2011, she made it to the Solheim Cup. She was a captain's pick for Captain Rosie Jones, played over in Ireland at Killeen Castle. And 2012 should have then been a big season for Ryann O'Toole. 2011 should have been a stepping stone, but in 2012 she had a back injury, and she said that she just didn't really do what she needed to do. A lot of players tried to fight through injury. That's what she tried to do. It hurt her. She had some issues from that over the next couple of years. So that really set her back a few seasons. And I think that was a big deal for Ryann, and that she struggled to recover from that in terms of the way that she's performed on tour. She's now obviously 100% fit, but I think that was always something that set her back. And now when you look at her stats, her putting lets her down a little bit. She's a good ball striker. She hits the ball a good distance, but she's always struggled with the putter. But she's a solid campaigner. She's been out on tour for almost 10 years, and it certainly wouldn't surprise me if Ryann were to break through and finally get that victory in the not too distant future.
Yeah, well, she really capitalized on that big break from the show, and we look forward to seeing what she does in the future, Tom. But our Golf Channel fans won't just recognize you from Big Break. Of course, it is the brilliant work that you've done on the LPGA all these years. Now, there hasn't been any tournament play since February, and when we look at how the LPGA Tour is rescheduled for the rest of the year, the KPMG Women's PGA Championship is now the first major of the year, and it's just the second start that the women will face when play resumes, hopefully in June. What kind of a challenge will that be for them?
Well, I think it's a challenge that they're going to relish. I think everybody involved with the LPGA Tour, players, caddies, officials, television personnel, people like myself, can't wait to get back out and start working. Um, Having a major championship as the second week back is obviously going to be an interesting situation, but the qualification for the KPMG Women's PGA Championship is a little more simple than the other majors because obviously it's based on the old LPGA Championship. So it's really based around the LPGA Tour with some members of the PGA of America invited as well, and teaching and club professionals. So I think the players are really just going to relish getting back. I mean, I think everybody wants to get back and play. Obviously, they want to do it in a safe environment. But from talking to players in the last several weeks, the general gist is they want to get back to work, they want to get back to playing, and hopefully by the middle of June in Arkansas, we'll be able to get back out there, even if there are some restrictions on how it's going to work.
Yeah, it's not just the players, fans alike. We're all thirsty for the LPGA Tour to get back in action. So, Tom, great to reminisce on Big Break with you. Take care, and it's great to hear from you.
Thanks, Anna.
Well, guys, don't forget you can watch Big Break all of today on Golf Channel. But let's introduce back in to the show Damon Hack and Paige McKenzie. And just touching on what Tom said there on the LPGA, you know, it's been a long break now. We haven't had any tournament play since February. Damon Hack, what have you heard from players and how they've been killing this time?
Yeah, and I reached out to Brittany Lincecum, two-time major winner, twice winner of the ANA Inspiration, just to find out what she's been working on to stay sharp. I sent her a text message. She sent me a text message back with a picture of her left hand in a purple cast, and then wrote that I have not been playing any golf. Her left thumb has been bothering her. She went to visit the doctor. Doctor told her she doesn't require surgery, but that she needs some rest. So it's kind of an overuse injury, as she put it. So she's had her left hand immobilized for a couple of weeks, hopes to have that cast removed sometime this week, but she has had no practice. She's using this time to rest and get healthy.
Yeah, it's a time that comes with positives and negatives for everyone. And Paige, I know you're, of course, very close to many of the women on the LPGA. What's the latest that you've heard?
I talked to a couple of players. First, Pernilla Lindbergh, who has been working out religiously, trying to fill time. I think for a lot of these players, it's really just about keeping busy. And so she's been hitting the gym or home gym. And then also at home, she set up an indoor hitting bay that involves the blinds of her long, tall windows, and she's able to hit foam golf balls into the blinds. I tell you, it's startling when you watch it because you feel like it's a real golf ball. But it's a way for her to continue to work on her golf swing. She's able to videotape it, send it to her coach in Sweden, and get some critique that way. She grew up in Sweden, so she's used to this indoor practice, she says, just trying to stay, somewhat sharp during this time off. And then Stacey Lewis is the other player that I spoke with, and I actually specifically asked her because I respect her opinion. She's got the voice of many of the players on the LPGA Tour. I said, how do you feel like Mike Whan and the LPGA Tour has handled all of this? And she said, quote, "It's unbelievable how well Mike Whan has handled a situation that's out of his control the way that this has been. So feels very comfortable with the amount of communication that the LPGA Tour has been giving her. She's in a little different situation. She's been able to spend some time with her daughter Chesney at home. She said, thankfully, she has a daughter that seems to be keeping her busy, so she's not nearly as bored as I think some of the players may admit to during this unfortunate time off."
Yeah, I think that can speak for parents across the globe that their kids are keeping them very busy right now. Well, great to hear your thoughts, guys. Thank you very much. And for you guys at home, you can catch Big Break on Golf Channel now and watch Ryann O'Toole go head to head and battle it out for that spot on the LPGA Tour, and so many big breaks that come as a result of the show. So take care, and we'll see you soon.